Attention all passengers. Wilford Industries wishes you a good morning. The temperature outside is minus 119 degrees Celsius. As we enter the Yukon territory of the former Canada, we remind you, for your personal safety, be prepared to brace. We are 6 years, 9 months, and 26 days from departure. At the tone, the exact time will be 0800 hours. And now, for your listening and viewing pleasure, Wilford Industries is proud to present the latest offering from darkloopsproductions, the Snowpiercers.
The Snowpiercers, a podcast in which we, the head of hospitality, the social engineer, the director of intercar relations, and the lead brakeman, discuss TNT's fantastic series, Snowpiercer. I'm your host, Dr. Scott Jordan, aka Zombie Scotty, cognitive psychologist, philosopher from Illinois State University. And tonight we discuss the season finale, episode 9, The Show Must Go On, and episode 10, Into the White. Fellow crew members, please say hi and tell the audience a little something about who you are, and we will start with Cianna.
My name is Cianna Greaves. I'm a radio producer and podcast producer coming out of Chicago, Illinois.
Fantastic. Stanford?
Hi, I'm Dr. Stanford Carpenter. I'm a cultural anthropologist coming to you out of Chicago, Illinois.
Fantastic. And Leandra?
I am Leandra Parris. I'm a school psychologist at William and Mary out in Virginia.
Fantastic. So did you like the finale?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a fairly good positive reviews of the finale. That's good. Who'd like to start on why? Or I mean, favorite line, favorite scene, favorite character. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, it was 2 hours, and I mean, I'm not sure if I have a favorite line. I mean, I have a couple lines that I wrote down, but all of them have more to do with how they conclude elements of individual characters' arcs, right? I mean, there's a part of me that wants to say my favorite line was when Leighton and Ruth invade Big Alice. And it was just Ruth picking on the sword and being, ah! Right? Or it was later when Ruth was with Kevin and Kevin's like threatening her with the cattle prod, and right. She just like knees him in the groin, grabs the cattle prod and just jazzes him. He's like, ee! It's just like grunting and screaming were like my favorite parts. But it was all about the context, right? It was, while I have not been in the past, I have not really stand Ruth very much. I have to say, I thought that that what this did for her character, I felt like this was really about her character. And I felt that she really shined, even from the beginning when she has that soliloquy about hope. And then later she says, my hope, I keep hidden. Right. And, in the second to the last episode, and then we just see her go through that whole arc of standing up to Mr. Wilford and ending up in the swamp with Leighton. But then there's this moment when we come back to her and Leighton, and and she dumps some crap in one area, and he picks it up, and she walks by him, and they do the high five with the slap down low, and it was just seamless. It was like seeing her convert to something else. So yeah. I got to say that was was I really did love seeing her arc.
Absolutely. My favorite line came out of the things you're talking about, where Leighton says to her, "We've done horrible things, or we've done terrible things," and she says, "Not terrible enough." They remembered how violence worked, right? And that brutal scene when they're trying to escape, I mean, that was brutal, right? And at the same time, they both recognized that that's what it was going to take to do the things they felt needed to be done. And Leighton did have a shiv, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I loved everything about Ruth. I mean, I've been slowly like really loving her, but it was really nice to have Leighton get his like mojo back, or like I don't know, like even the way, I mean, okay, first of all, I'm just gonna put it out there, the bathtub scene I kind of laughed at. Like, you got all this stuff going on, you're gonna stop and take a bath. But then I had to think about the life that they've had. Like, when's the last time she's seen a bathtub? But like, just even the way he was like, "After you," like I felt like he finally respected her. Like, he finally got the perspective that he needed to realize like what is important and what's needed. And so I resent the writers a little bit for ever putting me in a position for looking for the old Leighton. However, it was very nice to see him back for a little bit, briefly, sometimes.
Can I follow up on it? Just ask you guys about that, because I thought the Leighton mojo was back as well, and I wondered, do we think that all of the writing this season was good and it made sense that he went through that lull and now he's got his mojo back? Or do you feel that he was written in a way to let other characters shine and then they needed him to have his mojo? I've talked about them writing at me, and I'm glad he had that mojo. I'm just not sure it ever would have went away the way they wrote it over the season. I'm just wondering what you guys think. Or we can talk about something else.
I have no idea. I don't like the idea of them reducing him so that other people can shine, because it's not necessary. Like, you don't need him to be a dumbass in order for Ruth to look like she knows what she's doing. So like, if that's their plot, it just seems unnecessary. I just don't think they knew what to do with him unless he was like leading the charge, you know?
I think it's one of those instances where the writers sort of wrote themselves in a corner with not just Leighton, but a few characters. You know, it's the Walking Dead syndrome, when you know, are 3/4 of the way through the season, and you have about 10 storylines that you need to wrap up, and 3 hours to in which to do so. Some of the articles that I saw this week having to do with Falcon and the Winter Soldier referred to Idiot Ball, which is known as Idiot Ball in the writer's room, where you sort of have a character do something that is out of their character or really, really stupid, just to move a plot forward. And I felt that there were lots of technical mistakes in the writer's room with Snowpiercer. I don't think it's necessarily bad writing, but I think it was technical mistakes. I think it was, you could feel the pressure of deadlines, especially in the pandemic, where things sort of felt a little choppy. The storytelling wasn't as smooth as it was last year. Even the train detective stuff in season 1, it wasn't necessary, but it moved much smoother. Yeah. And it naturally gave way to this larger plot. It was quite seamless how they did it. Yeah. Whereas it just felt really jerky. A lot of things felt very, very jerky, but like I said, they're 2-0 as far as season finales. I love the season finale. Oh, I thought it was really, really good.
I really loved it.
I'll just go right into my favorite scene was Sam Otto's rendition of Winter Song.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Osweiler, sorry, the actor is Sam Otto, who played Osweiler.
That's my favorite scene as well. So
thing that I've ever seen.
So
maybe ever on television. I was so touched. It was so unexpected and so beautiful, and it really was just this sort of emotional oasis in the middle of what you knew was going to be what I thought was going to be a very melancholy and suspenseful finale, but it was none of those things. It was actually quite fun.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It wasn't as heavy as I thought it was going to be. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't super suspenseful, but it was very entertaining.
It wasn't deeply philosophical. You're right. It's
not at all.
We've got a problem to solve, and Team Ruth and Layton are going to solve it. And that Osweiler scene, I got to tell you, that was worth the season for me. I'm not lying. And what got me was Layton, or excuse me, Wilford had just asked him, "Why should I keep you?" And then he sings this song, "Why is Love Alive?" Right? And it's like this light shines down on everyone, and they recognize some of the things we've been complaining about is what are the stakes? And the stakes are right there. And everybody remembers, and you see Audrey, she can't handle the fact that he's better than she is.
I was going to say that whole time, I was like, sit down, goodbye. We don't need you for the night car. He can take over. Like,
and people are looking off from everybody else, collecting their thoughts because it's so moving. It was a perfect, for me, it was a perfect moment. And for that character, that whole scene with him was just, when LJ's going on her little thing and Wilford just comes back at her. "Oh, so you really did cut off men's penises." And he's like, "Just stop. She has no clue." And then he sings that song. It's just, okay, that was not idiot ball. That was a brilliant scene. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I agree with you on that. Anybody else on that scene?
I mean, I thought like the whole thing. I'll let you go, Stanford.
No. Please, you.
No, it's very rare that I get caught off guard completely about like a villain in terms of like where they're going. And so like I didn't even like compute the chair that was left. And she was like, "Do you want me to remove the place setting?" He's like, "We have one more person." And I just assumed they were going to bring Layton up or, someone. And then when he was like, "This is for you," and Alex is like, "Have you not figured it out yet?" Like that whole exchange and her whole decision that she makes in that moment, I think was that for me was this has been worth the season. And
it was part of the same scene too, right?
Yeah, but it's also really, I thought what was really interesting is that was actually a good moment of symbolic writing, right? Because what she has done is she's basically hidden behind service. She's hidden behind it throughout the entire, like this was the first time that we saw her not in a service capacity. Think about it. This is the first time that we saw her without her teals on.
Nope. She had dinner with Nolan in season 1 on her one day off.
Oh yes, or one day off. But again, it's like, it's still like, and then like being like, "Oh no, you have to stop." She's like, "I can't. I'm in my no."
No,
but you kind of get the sense that Ruth is not a stranger to hard work or hard times.
No.
She's in the sewer with Layton, plotting, eating her roach brick, just not even really. She doesn't miss a beat. She doesn't look fazed by that situation at all. Like she isn't fazed by any of it.
Right.
You sort of think, well, now Ruth is finally getting her comeuppance. She really takes it all in stride. I mean, she's eating that roach thing, that gelatin, like she's been eating it every day for the past 7 years.
As if she always really knew it could come to this, right? I mean, so she did have a position of privilege, and at the same time knew that it was tenable, and maybe that's part of why she threw herself into it so much.
Absolutely. Where you have Zara and Audrey,
no clue.
Audrey has not had, I don't think Audrey has had a cold shower since she's been on that train. She had the entire night car to herself. The entire night car to herself. She had a manicurist, apparently.
Yeah.
In that one scene, she was getting her feet done. I mean, she has been pampered since day one. I mean, she's traded up, I guess, because she was with the man that she, you know, loved. But
man,
Audrey's done quite well for herself, as is Zara, who was like, don't worry about me. I'll stay on Snowpiercer.
Right. Once again, she's like, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm just gonna.
I'm pregnant. He's not gonna do anything to me.
That was
It's
the
okay.
only. That was
Good
the
luck.
other quote I wrote down. Was when they're like, Zara, you know, I mean, you know, I don't know how you're gonna handle it, Wilford, and she just says, Wilford wants me on a pedestal. Right? I was like,
so this actually works out quite well.
Right.
For me.
Like,
But I'll be thinking about you.
You guys take Audrey. I'll go hang out with Wilfred. It'll be fine. It's a fair trade.
Zara is not a ride or die. She is.
Well, that's one of the things I honestly think that's one of the ways they messed up Leighton's character. I'll just say it is by having him be so attached to her. I guess they could have fallen in love in civilian life, but once she leaves you and goes to third class, you know, when you're all living in the shit, that relationship, I think, took away from some of Leighton's mojo from season one.
But he's back with Josie now, so I guess it's all good.
They
I
did.
feel like Leighton's anybody's, really.
Well, that's the thing is, Josie shows up, he looks at her, it's like, hey, and it's like, there's no, what's with Zara, dude? I mean, there's no,
Yeah.
She don't have time for that. She has bigger worries than whether or not her ex is still with his ex. And there's more sexual tension in those haze than there has been in any scene. Leighton and Zara. Like,
I saw no guilt on his face at all.
None.
Maybe it's just been longer. One thing that I don't know that they've really done well, I hate to complain about it. I love writers. I feel that we've not got a good sense of time on this scene.
right.
We don't know how many days and weeks and months have gone by. And maybe there are clues that they've used.
Well, at least 30 days have gone by.
What's that?
At least 30 days have gone by because it was 30 days from when they dropped off Melanie to when they tried to pick her up.
Right.
that's true.
And then I don't know, what I thought was interesting was at the very end when Melanie's gone. And at first it was like, oh man, where's Melanie? And then I thought to myself, you know what? Probably a good idea, because I don't think that they could have written a plausible scene between Melanie and Josie at the very end of this. You know, I mean, you just can't. Whatever happens between the two of them is going to require almost an episode. It's like they're just gonna have Melanie walk in on Josie, who's got like a bionic hand because Melanie.
Right.
You know?
So what do you guys think of how they ended Melanie's character for the season?
So I was a little sad we didn't get like her, like a last scene with her, I guess. I don't know, like her walking in this, I don't know what. But I did like in her letter where she was like, I'm human. I ate all the rats. Like, I destroy the ecosystem. Like, I kind of like that she says, like we always do, I messed up my own environment and now I can't live and I'm just going to go out into the snow and, you know. I did enjoy that. And I do agree with you that I don't know what she could have done. Like, I always wanted her back on the train because I love her character and I love Jennifer Connelly. But if I'm honest with myself, I don't know where they would take her after this other than kill Wilford. But I think that's Alex's job now. So
I think Jennifer Connelly is coming back next season.
You think so? How? You don't think she actually walked off into the snow?
I think she walks off into the snow for sure, but I don't think she's dead.
Well,
they already wrote that she's coming back next season.
Yeah.
What?
Well, she could run into a different supply train. We assume that there are 2 trains in the world, but could be more. And I liked the way the fight that didn't happen, right? It's just, again, this fight that doesn't happen, that your mind's all wrapped around. And I was surprised when they implied she was dead. I was really surprised. I was completely expecting her to come back, be on the train, and have this big fight or whatever. And it didn't happen. And it worked really well. It put me in a place I didn't anticipate. I loved the way she wrote that letter, to Alex. Letter. I can feel you reading this. That was just good writing, right?
Learn to love the people who helped us. I mean, that was a beautifully written letter. I got a little teary.
That whole thing was. I was like sitting there, like kind of like, okay, so I didn't read any of the like insider or whatever, so I didn't know she was coming back. So now my mind's a little blown. You might have to let me like catch up. But like, how? Right. I mean, you're right. Like, I guess there's another train. It is Melanie. If someone's gonna pull it off, it's gonna be her.
I mean, I heard she was coming back. Is she coming back? And I don't know if it's a series of flashbacks. I don't know if she's joining. She'll be a part of the present story, but. When she was dead, when they, implied that she was dead in the season finale, I was like, well, I guess my journey ends here. I don't want to live in a world of Snowpiercer without Jennifer Connelly. I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah. I love her.
It felt anticlimactic for such a character.
What I think is interesting is they have, during this season, opened up so many options for survival and so many hints that there's other colonies out there. I mean, the fact that this little station is sitting on a vent that supports rats. Yeah. Rats need more than just warmth. So there's something else for the rats to consume besides each other. Because even if rats are living by consuming each other, eventually they die out, right? Because they start eating each other faster than they can reproduce. So I just think that it wouldn't surprise me if that vent is not connected to a whole other civilization, you know what I mean? Or a whole other, not civilization, but another group of people who survived, right? It may be 20 or 30. It may even be like 2 or 3, but I think that there's more survivors in the area. Human beings have been living in cold climates and also climates that are too warm by placing themselves in caves or geothermal vents. I mean, that's something that's been going on for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways they can continue. I
think to answer Leandra's question, that is where you go. I don't need to be on this train for another season. I think the focus on, New Eden or life off the train is, I think that's the natural direction that we move in. I don't know if I need 10 more episodes of people fighting for control of Snowpiercer.
Not unless they distribute the wealth a bit more, right? I mean, people living like they are. With so many degrees of freedom open off the train, it does become a different story. But it's just like Walking Dead when they never left the forest for years, right? New things open up when you get into a different place.
They sure didn't leave the forest for
walking around trying to get out of the forest.
That's a freaking show.
Not a single drone shot, man. It's all first person games, all first person perspective. But
well, my favorite was we found this prison. It's really great. Somebody knocks a hole in one wall and we have to abandon the whole prison.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here we are talking about Walking Dead. No.
You're absolutely right. They should have stayed at that prison.
But I also. Oh, sorry.
No, all I said is you can make it work. Carol had a plan. She implemented the plan.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
I thought they were also asking us to believe a little too much in the governor's ability to persuade people to kill strangers.
Yeah.
That's a great segue back to Snowpiercer.
Awesome.
The threat of Wilford, much more frightening than Wilford himself. I mean, the watching the head. What are they? The doctors. The head.
Hedwig.
Hedwig's just sort of throw Josie, like, well, you have to go because Wilford said you have to go. The man is bleeding out of his neck. He's half dead. I mean, what's he going to do, really?
Did you guys think the doctors were going to let him bleed out?
I was hoping.
I'm surprised.
I got to say, that's one thing. Last time we talked about, they forgot how violence works. They forgot how to put a bag on a head. In the end, that really did become a problem for me over the course of the season is, Ben doesn't take out Wilford when he has the chance, and then he gets his ass kicked by Sykes because he didn't take out Wilford when he had the chance. I mean,
she whooped his ass for like 5 minutes.
She
beat the crap out of it.
That was like one of the natural Nubian ass whooping.
Yeah. Okay. That was one of the things I told Adam. I was like, Cianna loved this. I guarantee Cianna's over there laughing so hard at Ben getting his ass whooped.
God.
Do you want
My favorite is
how this
that, like,
works?
he's
you know the
taking
expression
out the
when someone's like, I'm going to break my foot off in your ass? I've never seen it before. This was exactly what that was.
It had all the other hallmarks, though. It had all the hallmarks. I mean, she just casually sets her fruit down. He's getting all sweaty, beating up the guy with all the armor, and then he grabs the baton, and her first word is, "Oh, let me show you how to use that."
Mm-hmm.
When somebody says that
try
while you are holding the baton, you know it's over.
He picks a fight with her.
Yep.
He picks a fight with her.
Dying.
And he had Wilford dead to rights an episode ago, with Wilford sitting right there in the seat in front of him. Just put a bag over his head and tie him up. I gotta say, I just got a little impatient.
I was dying, Leandra.
I know. I told Adam, I was like kind of laughing at me because you want it to work out, right? Like,
come on, Ben.
But like he hasn't. Like Ben has been like this think tank kind of guy, right? But he's also the one who like convinces Melanie to leave, and like he never has the follow through to pull anything off. And Sykes is just like, look, you could try, but it was fun to watch.
He's like,
it was almost as fun as watching that aquarium explode. Like that whole thing too was just like a beautiful.
That was the best special effect of the season.
Yep.
Did anybody else immediately think though, like, poor fish?
Yeah.
Like they've made it on this train in an impossible situation for 7 years.
If it hadn't blown up, I'd have said, sushi's on the menu.
Yeah.
I mean, but it blew up. So speaking of the aquarium, how about Josie's superhero origin story kind of coming to her? I mean, you put her in black leather, man. I mean, she was Trinity from the Matrix. She was tearing everything up.
Well, I actually think what's going to happen with her character, it'll either happen like towards the end of next season, or it'll happen when they reach the point where they all abandon the train for someplace warm. I think she's going to realize that she can't live in a place that's warm anymore. I think that what's going to happen is that, I mean, if the writing's good, I think what'll be interesting is them writing her inability to even live on the train, because they basically reset her so that she can run around in negative 200-degree weather, right?
Right.
I just find it hard to believe that you're going to exist in negative 200-degree weather and be fine in near tropical weather.
Right. Or even zero. Like to go, like, how would you?
Yeah.
It is sci-fi, right? So we'll see.
I mean, how warm is it on the train?
It's probably, I mean, the ambient temperature is probably around between 65 and 80 degrees. Because there are times when people are walking around in t-shirts, right?
Okay.
And the areas down below seem to be warmer because you have all the mechanical gear. But it's definitely warm. People aren't wearing coats and sweaters.
So I mean, if she's been able to survive on the train thus far,
Well, they don't. I'm sorry about that loudness there.
It's okay.
It was clear. It seemed like she was really having a whole ton of unique new experiences, at least over these last few episodes. So, I mean, the implication is she could still be changing. And you know, if what happens, she'll just change to the point where she can't be with people, won't even be able to hug them because they'll just be hot.
I mean, she
if
makes
that's
this
where they
comment
go.
about how she feels like she's changing, like she's being
Yeah.
reborn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was a nice line. It served poetic as well as expository purposes. You know,
That was another great scene.
Yeah. I was surprised the doctors didn't let Wilford bleed out.
I thought it was great to see that it was Alex who slashed his throat.
Using the same thing he wanted her to do to Leighton. Like when I saw her grab that thing and cheek it, I was like, but like you couldn't get just like half an inch deeper, like just a wee little bit.
I like how he really thought he was going to slap her across the face.
Yeah, that is true.
First time, last time. Good for Alex.
Can we just talk a little bit about the quality of Sean Bean's performance this season? Regardless of if I agree with how they wrote him, damn, man, he just gave that role everything. Quivers in the lips, eye movements, all of it. And to the point where he comes out of his little carnival with his little mustache on. It was actually brutally clever. It's almost as if he's saying, yeah, you think I'm a thin traditional stereotype villain, and I am, and I'm very, very good at it, right? It was almost just completely embracing it, both as an actor and then as the character in the show. And I'm glad they didn't kill him off, because I do think I think he's such a good actor. I think he brings a lot of strength to the drama, but I may not agree with everything they wrote, but I really appreciated his work.
I think he's a great actor. I think his character could lose his memory and fall off the train, and I wouldn't care. But I would miss him. I do like that he showed like actual vulnerability over losing Audrey. Like he did, like his face genuinely showed a bit of panic. That said, she can also be thrown off the train, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like, why is he still here, guys? I mean, you've had more than one opportunity for him not to be here. You know, and I've had people say, well, he couldn't do it because everybody believed that he was, well, Melanie ran the damn train for 7 years with him not there and told everybody he was there. And supposedly no one ever threw a fit. So,
right.
Well, yeah, he's still here. He's just Ruth's doing her job again, and things are back to normal. Like you said last time, Stanford, we've saved it for Wilford, and so I was a little surprised. I wasn't the writer.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what life on Snowpiercer is like.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also intrigued by who got left where, right? That like, you know, now Big Alice is 1,023 cars, and Snowpiercer is 10, right? You know, I mean, Ruth is there, right?
Yep.
Sarah, Alex. No,
yeah.
Alex is on Snowpiercer.
No, but it is interesting when you start trying to think about who's on what side, right? So Big Alice has Ruth, has who else is stuck there? I mean, what's his face? The
Boki?
What?
Boki?
I think Boki's there. I think what the guy who Leighton turned into a double murderer.
Pike.
Yeah, Pike's there. You know, I mean,
although I don't know how useful Pike's going to be. He was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm curious as to what is on the 10 cars that are part of Snowpiercer. Most importantly, is there food?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be.
If
I'm sure
not, they better find that geothermal vent and some.
quickly.
I mean,
So, go ahead.
if that car, if the aquarium car was meant to jettison, I would be surprised they didn't have some sort of backup plan for rations and stuff for that part
Right.
that would remain, because it was set to jettison on the assumption that there was no Big Alice, that was the only engine for the train.
Right.
So it's got to have something, but it would be nice to have a better sense of what that something is, because 10 cars does not seem like enough to have food for the whole train.
Right.
Well, you mentioned where people end up. I was really glad to see Ruth still on Big Alice, and I thought, first of all, I want to see her interact with Wilford now. Her arc was eventually telling Wilford no, right? And eventually that's what she does. She tells him no, she gives up her teals, and then she kicks some ass. And now their interactions from now on are just full of potential space. So I liked how her main arc kind of went through its course, and now she's got to deal with it on Big Alice. I thought that was a cool way to end her character.
Well, she's going to be leading the revolution on Big Alice, because there's no other revolutionary leaders left.
Yeah.
And I bet that she's going to just have her head down, telling people what to do in the tail, because they kind of established that she has that kind of authority.
Well, the head brakeman is still on Big Alice in a drawer with his family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could get him out.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's very interesting you say that, because there are 1,000 train cars and a lot of people, and maybe Ruth was the leader, like Leighton was the leader, because of the context they were in at that time. And maybe with a new context and more people moving around, maybe there'll be someone else who takes on that sort of Leighton role. I mean, it could be Ruth. That would be an obvious thing to do. And we all love her character, so we'd enjoy it. Yeah, we'll see what they do. Any other scenes that really stuck out to you guys? No, it sounds like we all dug it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
I have to say, I do feel like a lot of high school kids who are really into musical theater are really digging Snowpiercer, because you have those great scenes like the dinner and the carnival. I don't know where these outfits came from. I mean, the seamstress was on Big Alice. So I don't know. At the end of the world, are you packing evening wear? Is that?
If you're in first class, you are.
If you're in first class.
But if you're a brakeman, like, where did Bess get her suit from?
That's true.
I mean, where did Alex? I don't know.
No, you're right. I mean,
but
we don't know.
It does have a very just sort of a hint of Baz Luhrmann in the production that I actually like it.
Well, I agree with you. I like it. One of the things I think we've talked about before is, sometimes the show feels quite a bit like Parable, right? And then sometimes it feels like hardcore sci-fi. And if you're going to do the hardcore sci-fi, you can't ever give up on the details, right? You can't ever give up on the world building. And I think we've seen them kind of oscillate between, let's tell you a parable, and how these characters are symbols, or we're going to stick to the hardcore data facts about, and do it that way. And so this is a show where I truly enjoyed it. And I don't think that they controlled the parable, if I'm making any sense, the line all the way through, like other shows. It's a struggle all the time, because these writers want to say big things, and sometimes just the daily life isn't big enough to let you tell it. So that wasn't supposed to be a non-starter, y'all, but that's okay.
I feel like, one of the limitations of this is
It's a train.
Well, I was going to say it is partly the train, but there's also like this. This is an episode that very much focused on a few characters.
Yes.
But there's a lot of characters on that train, and I'm thinking that there are also a lot of characters we didn't see anything of. We didn't see anything of Pike. Mm. We barely saw the Hedwigs, let alone the doctor on Snowpiercer, right? You know, so there's a lot that we, you know, I feel like a lot of the other episodes made a point of at least showing a little more of what was going on throughout the train than this one did. Like throughout these entire 2 episodes, I don't think we saw third class at all. You know, and usually they have something where they check in on third class. We haven't seen the tail in like 4 episodes.
We just discovered that kids are still going to school.
Right.
Where the hell is Miles after Miles?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, all these things that would have contributed to the world building instead of Tess and the preacher, right? I mean, that line didn't do anything for the show. For me, I don't know about everybody else, but
no, it didn't do anything for anyone.
No.
So I mean, I enjoyed Tess's performance in the final episode, but I think it was strained. You know, her role and what they did with, there's so much other micro detail about daily life they could have plugged in there a little bit more. I think that would have had other people in the story that would have let us know why these kids are still in school. What's it take for them to be in school while all this crap's going on somewhere else? That's the kind of stuff that I think would have contributed to the world building a little more.
And a lot of the world building they did by exposition. So like that whole thing about where you know, Wilford's like, well, we gotta get everyone in the right place, and then having someone else come back and be like, oh yes, like but you have to remember when you know what it was really like you were culling all these people, and it was just like I understand that sometimes you have to say it as opposed to showing it.
Yes.
But I feel like these 2 episodes were so focused on, you know, basically it wasn't just the origin story for Josie, it was the origin story of the pirate train.
Right.
Yeah.
That I do think it kind of left a lot of that other stuff just up in the air.
How are they gonna get that train back though?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I also thought they couldn't stop. Or am I making that up? I thought
they couldn't stop because they heated the train. They ran the train through having it move. And now Josie, who said it's running hot? Was it Tess?
Yeah.
Tess said something, and whatever said it's running hot because they have fewer trains so they're not burning off the heat because they're not carrying 1,000 trains. They're carrying 10 cars. So I don't think, if I know what I'm talking about, they're not burning off the heat that they used to burn off when they were dragging 1,000. So that energy is just being converted to heat instead of being dissipated and into running electricity for the rest of the cars. So that's the vibe I got.
So does that mean that half of Big Alice doesn't have heat or electricity?
Maybe a major chunk of Big Alice doesn't have. I mean, you're right.
Well, they've kind of established that Big Alice is stronger than Snowpiercer.
Well, brute force wise, yeah, but in terms of does it contribute to because it's a huge supply car, right? So we don't know if it's outfitted to actually keep 1,000 cars going. They keep moving, right? But in terms of sustaining an ecology or whatever, we don't know. We'll see. Maybe it really is a pirate ship, right?
Well, this is one of those things where quite frankly, I don't think they really gave us enough to know.
No.
So we just kind of have to go with it, that somehow you can break the train apart and put it back together again.
Well, yeah. You know, you were talking earlier, show me, don't tell me. I thought there was one scene over the series that they did that really well, and I thought it was the release of the weather balloons. I thought they created a really cool social context to celebrate that. And so what they were doing kind of came out spontaneously in the midst of the celebration versus Ben and someone having a conversation about what all this meant and how they had to do it. So I thought they did that well there, but you're right. Sometimes when you have to fill in the details with words, you're telling me, and yeah.
I mean, I actually, I mean, the other thing I mean, I don't know, guys. What do you hope for out of next season?
You know, what I like about that question is if this series were to end, I would feel they had worked through Melanie's arc. I would feel they had moved through Ruth's arc. I would feel they had moved. I don't like how they did Leighton's arc, if you want to call it that. I mean, I'm sure they didn't write it to plan to end this season, but the kind of idea of Melanie kind of disappearing, but still being there, you know, just like Wilford was never there last season. I kind of like that. Ruth telling Wilford no. I don't like saying Leighton found his mojo because I don't think he ever really lost it. They just wrote him as if he did.
The writers found Leighton again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they needed him at that point, right? I mean, yeah. I honestly don't know. I want a Ruth Wilford face down.
But I mean, did they need him? Because
say that again.
Did they need him? The women of Snowpiercer kind of pulled this thing off by themselves. I mean,
well,
what did Leighton do? I don't know.
Well, yeah, and and they wrote it that way, right?
Yeah, like I mean, definitely could have done this without you. Not to be mean, but we could have, you know,
well,
like
maybe we are in Act 2 of Kill Bill 2, right? I mean, maybe the three women, the superheroes, do solve the issue. It probably won't be with the train coming back together. It'll probably be something like New Eden. And that would be completely consistent with the Gaia motif, right? I
mean, who are the men? Ben and Leighton are on the pirate train?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Osweiler's good for a song, you know? But no, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. They, you know,
at least Ben knows how to drive the train.
Yeah, and Leighton knows how to do what he knows how to do. And, you know, no, you're I mean, I said the Kill Bill thing a long time ago, right? I really got the impression that they were creating a group of female superheroes, which is totally cool. So Stanford was asking us what we were looking forward to.
Yep. And my thing blinked out right as you guys were laughing about something. I don't remember what, because I was frantically trying to get my computer to like not.
It's not about the fact that the two men on Snowpiercer are Ben and Leighton.
No.
Uh-oh.
My man Tristan is on there.
Oh, I thought he was on Big Alice.
You know what?
He's on Big Alice. He's with the 1,000 other trains.
No, I was talking about Snowpiercer. So is Javi alive?
We don't know.
So
okay.
I really don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Those doctors seem like
he's alive. He's just missing limbs and stuff.
And
he really shed that Spanish accent too. Between season 1 and season 2, it's like gone.
Yeah, I think season 3 is going to be called The Rise of Tristan.
I hope so. Is that what you hope for, Stanford? Is that what you're?
I don't hope for Tristan. I know Tristan will rise. I'm just saying, you've got all these people on Snowpiercer thinking that they're devoid of leadership, but little do they know Tristan is there. You're gonna have. I bet we're gonna have Ruth. Pardon?
Sorry, everybody froze. I didn't know. Sorry.
I think we're gonna have Ruth. I think that she's gonna become like this underground leader, and I think that she's gonna be working. And I actually do think it's gonna be Ruth as sort of the underground leader, and she's still gonna be working with Tristan. I think Tristan is still gonna be kind of just moving along with hospitality under Kevin, and I think they'll be in good hands. I mean, would you rather be led by Ruth and Tristan, or all those other also rans on that pirate train?
I mean, these are good points. I think I could actually use a season of like just the little pirate ship going around and finding people, and then we'll come back to Big Alice and all of them later. But I don't know.
That's one of the reasons I think we got stuck with so much character stuff and not world building this year is because the writers probably think that we view because of the actors. And we like these characters, so it's always a risk to extend the character group. But there's lots of ways they could go. We could end up with a season of Melanie, right?
I would love that,
where she finds another Big Alice or something, or gets picked up by another Big Alice, and we learn what they've been doing for the last 7 years. And
I mean, I hope we find survivors, human survivors, who are living off the land or underground. I would like to transition off the train.
I hope they're not zombies, right? I hope they're
No. But I think it's also very arrogant to believe that you are the last, bastion of humanity, this bloody train that's just circling the globe.
Right.
I mean, I think it's a little ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
You would think they would be trying to contact people in the outside world. I mean, you're not. I just.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they ever told us they didn't have comms. I don't know if they ever told us. I mean, I think part of the thing with the balloons is they had to create their own satellite network with the balloons, right? And I think at the end, what they're doing is showing us a computer printout of the data coming back from all those balloons. So I don't know if satellites, I don't know. So
there have to be other survivors.
Yeah, there have to be.
There has to be.
How they work them in. Yeah. How they meet them. You got to wonder if it's even worth having them meet them. I mean, in the sense of, it would be unique if they were just how, like, for example, American Horror Story does these anthology seasons. Well, it's not quite the same thing because they use the same actors and such. But if they were to do Snowpiercer season 3, like on Walking Dead, with a completely different group, so we don't.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, I would love a whole season of like a lower decks approach.
And,
it's like,
it's a risk for them because all this stuff's got to be in the can before they air any of it, But
yeah, but they've already announced that they're bringing new actors on next year. So
yeah.
I actually think that they realize that they're kind of running out of stories on the train.
Yeah.
I could see a season where we have some stuff talking where it's like divided into 3, where you've got the Adventures of the Pirate Train, and then you've got Tales of the Resistance on Big Alice, right? Because it's going to take more than a minute to really clamp down 1,000, over 1,000 cars, because you've already got a lot of tension, and you've literally got Big Alice kind of coming down onto a civil war. So you've got at least 3 sides that you're trying to manage. So I could see them doing stories where it's just more about showing, maybe showing how a few people in the resistance are doing, where like Big Alice becomes the background, and then we see Melanie, interacting with whoever she meets up with. And I think that what's going to happen is that I think what's more than likely going to happen is, well, you have those 3 sides, and what's going to happen is Melanie and her new crew are either going to end up on, one of them is going to end up on Big Alice first, then the other is going to show up. And I think that that's what we're going to work towards, is just like establishing three sets of worlds that are just going to all collide towards the end of season 3.
I mean, what is the ultimate showdown though? Is it Melanie versus Wilford? Is it Alex versus Wilford? Is it Leighton versus Wilford? I mean, what is your dream scenario? Like, who do you want to see?
I mean, here's the thing: if I was writing it, Wilford would be gone halfway through season 3, and I would actually have Ruth successfully take over the train. And just as she successfully takes over the train, have the pirate train show up. Because what is interesting is Ruth is not truly down with either crew. She really does view the fate of the train as separate from all of this high court political drama. And I'm wondering if the separation, at least if I was writing it, I would be like, well, the separation from it reaffirms that she needs to be thinking of the train and having her come up with some way to unite the train. And so by the end of season 3, it's kind of her train. And when the pirate train shows up, she'd be like, you know what? We don't need you either. Like, all you guys did was fight.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I want Melanie to get her train back.
Okay.
It is her train. I think.
There you go.
I think it's Melanie's train. And I would like to see her have her train back.
And run it with Alex.
Mm-hmm. And Ruth.
And Ruth. Have Ruth stay as head of hospitality.
Yeah.
So if the writers were to tell us that, okay, we're not going to do season 3, but that's how it ends, right? In other words, we're not going to go through the details, but that's how the story ends. I don't think any of us would be too upset.
No.
But I mean, what I'm saying is all the stuff they introduced in season 1 was pretty much resolved in season 2. And the only thing there's other stuff that they opened up in season 2, but I feel like the story is kind of done. It's not that it's done, but they resolved all the major stuff. And if I'll stop.
No, you're right.
No, I'm just saying I didn't have any more to say, so I'm better off just stopping myself. I thought Melanie, the ending for Melanie was just, I'm going to use the word awesome. It doesn't mean I'm glad that she walked into the white.
Yeah.
I just mean it's just, again, the person who's there but not there, or not there but there. And just really well done. And I love this fight that didn't happen. They get me all ready for it. It doesn't happen.
Did Bess need to live?
No. I mean, I don't know what she did this season besides run around and like kind of halfway come in right as everything ended. Like,
she punched Audrey in the face. Thank you.
That I did, but like I kind of wanted that to be Ruth. Like, I think Ruth would have been a much more poignant, like, we started off, both of us, loyal to this dude, and you were loyal to Snowpiercer, and you didn't do it. Like, that would have been better, I think. But
yeah,
I'm having a hard time justifying what they're gonna do with her. Like,
you guys are talking about the train detective, right?
Well,
right.
Whatever. I'm just making sure.
The train detective.
Man.
I
feel bad for the actress. Now, you can't look. I don't know that Sean Bean. Well, if you're going to write Sean Bean a certain way and you go into it and they did it, he was awesome. I just was not moved by her character at all. this season. I was more moved last season, if you remember, when Leighton was kind of lifting her up and training her how to be a detective, and the next thing you know, the writers give up on all of that, and I'll stop. I just no. I would rather have seen Miles after Mile.
Where is he? Where is Miles after Miles? Miles on Pun Miles.
Probably in school.
On Pun Miles. Okay.
I mean, why are we not? You know, we all know how moved we are when we finally saw Sam's family, and they were doing nothing but sitting at the breakfast table talking. That's world building, right? I mean, what's it like to go to school? Do you have armed guards outside the doors? Are you escorted through the train?
I mean, speaking of a lower decks type approach, I would love to see a couple of episodes entirely from the perspective of the kids.
Yep. I would, yeah, like I'm trying to think of like a kid's show that could be like that. There's just not one comparable, but it would be really nice to have like some high schoolish kids growing up, coming of age.
Let's get Sam's daughter out of the drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear what she was going through. What's the story with her two siblings? No, I agree. I agree.
I mean, in the movie, the child who was chosen to go up train, I mean, it did have a very dark ending, but that child was, well, not really, because that child was pretty significant to the plot. Yeah. And that's sort of what they were setting up for Miles. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like they changed their mind.
They actually had him. Did they have him in the engine at some point this season?
No, that was last season.
Was it? Okay.
All right. Did we see Miles in the engine this season?
Nope.
Last I saw him, he was saying goodbye to Josie.
Right.
Yep.
In the film, okay, children were used as a commodity in the most cruel way.
Right.
I thought they were setting up something similar with Miles in season 1.
I mean, what's a story you tell him about Josie that keeps him going to school? Right? How do you keep this kid doing what you want him to do? If like you said, you're not after his arm like the movie, but you're after his mind, so he'll run your train for you. Right. No, those are, I don't know, maybe they think that's season 3 stuff.
I mean, yeah, and that was the whole point. They do need another engineer. Javi.
Yep.
If he's even alive. I don't think Wilford has any interest in running a train 24/7.
No, that's a good point.
Alex is on Snowpiercer. Ben is on Snowpiercer on the pirate train. I mean, maybe Miles will be the new Alex.
I'm surprised those two didn't hang out a little more over this season. I mean, apprentice engineer or something.
Nobody even went to go get him. Like, he wasn't even mentioned. Like, we have to get Miles on the pirate train. It was Zara. I mean, Josie is his mother, right? Josie and Leighton are the closest thing that he has to parents.
Yeah. No, that's and they used him to reintroduce Josie this season, right? He's in the room where she's healing and we don't hear.
They were not like, oh, we have to get Miles. We're gonna, have this pirate train. It just occurred, like, I just realized that.
Yeah, thinking about it, I really did like the confrontation between Wilford and LJ at the dinner table. Mm-hmm. I really did like how he manipulated her to admit her guilt in front of everybody by yelling about Melanie. And once it's kind of out there, she had to reverse the verdict. He just looks at her dead in the eye and says, "Oh, so you really did cut the penises off of those men." Mm-hmm. Because it's like, no, the only person that gets to do sick stuff like that on my train is me. Mm-hmm. Nobody else gets to behave that way. And I thought, wow, that was an interesting social thing we'd not seen before. We'd seen him manipulate Kevin and Audrey and others, but that taking out of the privileged LJ was, for me, was a really, really cool scene. I thought I learned a little bit more about Wilford in that scene. Okay, anything else about the finale? Anything else about this season? Okay, then. Well, that about wraps it up for tonight's episode and our discussion of the finale. Crew members, please tell the audience where they can find you on social media, and we will begin with Leandra.
Hi, I'm Leandra Parris. You can find me on Twitter at Parris Leandra, at Parris Leandra.
Fantastic. Cianna.
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at CC Greaves, that's CICIGREAVES.
Excellent. And Stanford?
Hi, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Clubhouse at SW Carpenter.
Fantastic. I'm on Twitter at dark_loops, and you can find all episodes of the Snowpiercers at the Dark Loops Productions channel on YouTube. If you'd like to leave feedback about this episode or any other episode, please do so on this YouTube page or send an email to darkloopsproductions@gmail.com. So there it is, from all of us to all of you. Big hugs, and remember,
Chugga, 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 chugga.
Deanna's face is like,